you might be thinking, why the hell would the Next Web invite somebody who blew it building a $100 million company onto the stage? Well, they wanted me to talk about unconventional routes to entrepreneurship, and I became like a CEO on accident. I don't know how that worked. And so we called it Nasty Gal, after this album called Nasty Gal, written by a woman named Betty Davis. And the first stuff that I sold was stuff that was mine. I thought everybody would like my style. I thought my style was like great, but it turns out that you can start a company and build what you think people want, but if it's not what people want, like, you don't have a company. After years of iterating, 16-hour days, steaming clothing, pulling snot rags out of dead people's, pockets, weighing things, measuring things, shipping things, describing things, Nasty Gal eventually kind of exploded. And by 2011, we were doing $12 million in revenue on a run rate, a 12-month forward-facing run rate of $28 million. Debt-free, no investors, just like printing money, flipping clothes. And that's when venture investors came in and they were like, who is this freak? And they gave me fucking $50 million. So like, maybe irresponsible on their part, definitely naive on my part. And the mandate was to build $1 billion business. They valued us at $350 million when we hadn't even done 28 million in revenue. So this is like a 10x valuation for like a fashion e-commerce company. So we hired 100 employees in a year. It was a mess. I hired a bunch of C-level executives. I had no idea how to manage them. I'd never worked in an office before. I thought I would hire these people who had careers for longer than my entire lifespan, and that they'd show up and they'd diagnose what the company needed, they'd work together, and then they'd do things that I didn't know how to do. I didn't mean to be a CEO. I wasn't trying to work for other people. And obviously this is all very sensational, but they only had part of the story. And I was like, my story is like kind of entertaining. And I know there's other community college dropouts, women, wherever, all over the place, who might want to start a business, who don't know that you don't have to have a business degree or carry a briefcase or be a dude to start a business. So I embraced my story and I decided to tell it. And I wrote a book called Girlboss. This book spent 18 weeks on the New York Times bestseller list. It sold 500,000 copies. I'm a young woman. I have no education, no experience. I've never managed anybody. I had very few mentors, very few peers. I had a board, but I heard boards sucked. So I owned 80% of the company after we raised $50 million. And then eventually, Hail Mary after Hail Mary, being overvalued, some meddling, stories that I'll share with the founders that I invest in. Nasty Gal files for Chapter 11 at the end of 2016, just like 6 months after I'm on the cover of Forbes. And so I kept going. I came back with a shitload of knowledge, an amazing network, people that kept showing up for me. Like, I blew $50 million, and Mark Andreessen and Jason Calacanis and Andrew Chen and David Sachs like all showed up to invest in my fund, which is pretty nuts. If you say you're done, you're done. But if you keep showing up, people are going to keep showing up. It's why I love investing in second-time founders. Thank you so much for having me. Really appreciate it.